Today we're talking about the two subtypes of the INFJ, the turbulent INFJ and the assertive INFJ. And there has been a lot of discussion when it comes to those subtypes. People have been asking which one is the better one, how are they different from one another. And the newest thing, and one of the questions actually a couple of people have approached me with, was is it possible to change your subtype? And we want to first analyze what the difference is, and I'm not going to go way too deep into this because there are excellent videos on this. But in a nutshell, it's a question of neuroticism. So if we are really calm, if we're somebody who's really stable in their emotions, if we're somebody who's more of a carefree nature, then we're most likely an assertive INFJ. If we, on the other hand, rather tend to negative emotions, we rather have regrets, we always are perfectionistic, if we want to go and achieve more in order to battle our self-doubt, then we're more likely to be a turbulent INFJ. This is very similar to the big 5 personality traits. It's another personality type system, but the more I read into it, I recognized, okay, actually that's the main difference between assertive and turbulent INFJ. It's this factor of neuroticism, if it's something that we have within us or not. And so to put it in a nutshell, I don't believe at all that you can change this, but it's more importantly, first off, to understand why we cannot change it, and then once we understand that this is the case, what actually are we? Because I can guarantee you for the longest time I mistyped myself, and I've met so many INFJs who've done the same thing. And if you mistype yourself, you're not only doing things that are counterintuitive to your type, but you're also not looking at all the downfalls each one of those subtypes has and how you want to manage it. There's no type that is perfect. It isn't also that one type is better than the other type. Like, being an ESTP is definitely not better than being an INFJ. But if you only look at it from the lens of an ESTP and you always think, oh, I have to be like the ESTP in order to be successful, of course you're going to fall short. We as INFJs are visionaries. We're not the ones who are going to make a big impact by putting in a lot of physical work. That's just something we have to understand, something we have to factor in, and then understand, okay, I can think outside of the box. I can create amazing things, and therefore I will succeed. I have to go my own route. I have to go the road less traveled because this is in alignment with who I am, with my strengths, and I'm also looking at my weaknesses and only improving them as much as I have to. We shouldn't put too much effort into all our weaknesses. We just have to make them work somehow. We just have to be good enough and then focus on our strength. The same thing applies to, are you an assertive INFJ or are you a turbulent INFJ? We're going to talk about how you're going to know which type you are, and then once you understand this, what strengths you have and how you can use them to your advantage. There is no such thing, assertive is better because they are more prone to make their dreams come true, or turbulent is better because they're more exciting. They're more in their own little world. They are way more mysterious. They're way more exciting. They're way more romantic. Yeah, they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. As long as you understand this, you can make the best out of your type. Before we get into this, remember to download the poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ epic life. It will help you no matter if you're an assertive or turbulent INFJ to get started on creating your INFJ epic life, and sign up for the waiting list for the bootcamp. It starts at the end of October, so be quick, be on the waiting list, and be ready to go when we roll out. All the information you find below. So first thing first, why am I convinced that you cannot change types? I'm convinced of that because there have been numerous studies, specifically coming from that 5 personality trait system, that have shown us that even with newborns, you can tell which one of those traits are something that a person is born with. One of those things that people have tested on is being extroverted or being introverted. They have put loud music into a room of newborns. I assume it wasn't too loud, but there was some kind of music there. A couple of the babies actually looked towards the music. The other babies looked away. So of course, the babies who looked away, that's a great sign for introversion because it shows external stimulations actually removes my energy. So I'm going to preserve that. The other babies which were extroverted, their whole attention went towards the music. It went towards the stimulation because that gives them energy. The same thing goes when it comes to neuroticism. neuroticism. There are different parts of our brain that react differently to any kind of things happening in our life, external stimuli, etc. So looking at that, you cannot really change how your brain functions. Yes, you can say, with what I have, I'm going to improve upon that. I can change my brain structure. I can lean into certain things, but it will require a lot of willpower. It will require a lot of strength that most of the time isn't even necessary. And that very clear example of extroversion versus introversion shows you very well how clear it actually is. I do react a certain way when there's so much going on outside of me. That's why I'm an introvert. That's just who I am. It isn't something that is generally bad or generally good. I first off just have to understand it, and second of all, optimize knowing that this is my type. What kind of environment will make me thrive the best? So now let's look at the turbulent INFJ versus the assertive INFJ. The turbulent INFJ has the strength of being a perfectionist. They always want to improve. They want to know what is there around me that I can improve, that I can work on. They're more on the go. This is maybe different than what we first thought about the turbulent INFJ, because the turbulent INFJ very often was considered as an INFJ who's more into the NI world. So people presumably thought, okay, that means I'm actually more in my own world. I'm doing more of my own thing. I'm more detached from reality, which is in a lot of ways true if you think about it from the perspective that the assertive INFJ is way calmer. They're not that nervous. They're more carefree. They dare to do things in the real world and don't really care about people's judgment because they are more stable when it comes to their emotions. Of course, that type is more likely to create relationships in their life, to go out and try out new things, because whatever comes their way, it doesn't make them embarrassed so easily. It doesn't really affect their brain. And I'm personally an assertive INFJ, and for the longest time, I thought I was a turbulent one because I had the definition wrong, because I always thought of myself as somebody who's all about self-improvement. But once I understood that the main difference is the stableness, then I knew, okay, I'm actually an assertive INFJ. But it isn't all great to be an assertive INFJ, because the downside is that assertive INFJs are way more likely to be lazy. They're way more likely to not get motivated to change something about their life. They're way more likely to miss mistakes, to miss any kind of things that are not going well or right, and therefore not being able to move as fast as they would want to towards their INFJ epic life. The turbulent INFJ comes from a different direction. For them, it's important to not only look at what could be a mistake, what could go wrong, how are they going to improve themselves, and how are they going to make it happen that people don't judge them. For them, it's important to say, yes, at some point people are going to judge me. Yes, on some level I'm going to make mistakes, but I also have to look forward. I have to look at what I have already accomplished, how great I actually am. So both of those types have strengths, but they also have weaknesses. And so there is no such thing as, okay, I'm so glad I'm that type. I'd rather be that type. That would be so much easier. It's not. Every single type has the possibility to make everything happen in their life. I'm 100% convinced of that. It doesn't even matter if you're an INFJ or an ESTP, and that we as INFJs are only this 1%. The thing that is more difficult for INFJs is that we don't have that many great role models yet. I'm so convinced this is going to change. This is already changing. You see our community growing and flourishing and, helping each other to get to this place. But if you stop that judgment for a minute and you understand, okay, those are the two subtypes, and I'm actually this subtype, that's how my mind works. Let me look at the downfalls of that type and let me look at the strengths. How can I utilize my strengths in order to move forward into the life that I want? How can I start looking at this as a great opportunity and a great gift, and then to sort of just a little bit look at the weaknesses and say, how can I improve this? For the turbulent INFJ, that would mean I'm going to do more gratitude. I'm going to praise myself more. I'm going to look at myself and be proud. That's something I have to continuously do, and I have to look at how can I take steps, although they're not perfect, because it is necessary for me to be able to improve. And with that, getting closer to the main vision that I want. For the assertive INFJ, it's important to say, okay, yes, I'm stable. I'm okay with people judging me. Therefore, I can dare to do things, although people would judge me in the beginning, but I have to be careful with the mistakes I'm making. I have to look a little bit more into the details details. And if I really don't want to, then I'm going to get help from somebody who's good at this. One way to do this is to work with another INFJ who's the other subtype. This is just an example, but that's a great way to approach the life you want to live, your INFJ epic life on your terms. It doesn't matter which subtype you are. Just accept it, love it, cherish it, and look a little bit at the weaknesses. Remember, guys, to download the poster. This is going to be a huge help for you no matter what subtype you are, and sign up for the waiting list for the bootcamp. This is an amazing opportunity for our group coaching. I really love it. We are assertive INFJs and turbulent INFJs in there. We encourage each other. It's an amazing thing, and I'm so proud of it, and I can't wait to see you there. So find out all the details below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on how to know if you're a Sigma INFJ.